You know, deep in Slavic folklore, there's this figure. He's basically the embodiment of one of our oldest fears, the fear of dying. Today, we're going to get into the seriously chilling story of Koschei the Deathless. He was the sorcerer who wanted to live forever, but, well, let's just say he ended up finding something a lot closer to torment.
Yeah, a skeleton dipped in wax. I mean, just picture that for a second. That's how the old stories talk about him. So we're not talking about some majestic, powerful god here. Nope. It's this gaunt, unnatural, almost brittle being. That one image, right there, it tells you everything you need to know about the horrifying price he paid for his power.
So, right off the bat, we're diving into this huge contradiction, this massive paradox about Koschei. He's called the Deathless who feared death. I mean, think about that. He's supposed to be immortal, right? But his entire existence, every single moment, is completely defined by this crippling, all-consuming fear of dying. So his immortality, it's not some awesome gift. It's really just a desperate and, as we're about to see, a super flawed rebellion against mortality itself.
Okay, so if you're into fantasy at all, video games, books, you name it, you've almost definitely heard the term lich. Well, Koschei, he's pretty much the OG lich. He's this master of the dark arts who did the unthinkable. He separated his soul from his body. Why? All to dodge the natural cycle of life and death, to basically hide his own mortality and make his physical form untouchable.
But here's what's so fascinating. He's not just some monster from a bedtime story. A lot of people who study this stuff think he's a symbol for some very real, very human fears. For instance, some see him as the personification of a harsh, brutal winter. And you gotta remember, for people back then, a long winter could literally mean starvation. It was terrifying. Others think he might be a stand-in for the black god Chernobog. And get this, some historians even suggest he could be a distorted memory of actual tyrants, these nomadic warlords who seem to live forever and just terrorize people for decades.
All right, let's talk about how he actually did it. This is where it gets really dark. His whole deathless status, it wasn't granted by some god. Oh no, it was stolen. He performed this forbidden, totally selfish ritual that made him a walking contradiction. He literally ripped his own soul, his mortality, right out of his body.
So, you've got to be wondering, right? How on earth did a powerful sorcerer cheat the inevitable? How do you actually hide your own death from everything? The way he did it is it's this incredibly symbolic and kind of brilliant process. And what he did was essentially a Faustian bargain, a trade-off between humanity and immortality. And it's a raw deal. The price he paid? Well, he gave up a united soul and body, a finite but totally vibrant life, the ability to experience real emotion. And what did he get in return? An eternal but completely barren existence. His soul and body were severed, and he became totally incapable of feeling anything. He literally traded his humanity.
And this is the kicker. His greatest strength was also his greatest vulnerability. Think about it. By ripping his soul out to become invincible, he basically created a single, tiny, catastrophic weak spot. It's like building the world's most secure fortress, but leaving the only key sitting under the welcome mat. His biggest magical flex was also the secret that could completely undo him.
So being the paranoid, terrified guy he was, he didn't just, stick his soul in a box somewhere. Oh no. He created the ultimate security system. It's this insane labyrinthine prison for one single fragile soul, a fortress built out of layers of myth, magic, and even nature itself. Okay, so here it is, the most famous part of the whole legend, the layers of protection. Get ready for this. His soul, his death, is hidden in a needle. That needle is inside an egg. The egg is tucked away inside a duck. That duck is inside a hare. The hare is locked up tight in an iron chest, and that chest is buried deep under a huge oak tree on the mythical island of Buyan, which is basically at the edge of the world. It's like the world's most complicated Russian nesting doll, and every single layer is symbolic.
So he's got this airtight plan, right? He should be set for eternity. But this is the curse of forever. He built himself a barren kingdom ruled by perpetual anxiety. All that work, and it didn't bring him peace. Not at all. It just brought him a curse. He might have been a king, but the real thing ruling his life was his own constant gnawing fear.
I mean, seriously, did this elaborate plan bring him peace? Let's be real. Can you imagine living forever, knowing that your entire existence, everything you are, is balanced on one tiny, hidden needle? Does that sound like a win to you? Of course not. It sounds like a nightmare.
So what did he do? He surrounded himself with things. He hoarded gold, jewels, he even kidnapped princesses. But he couldn't feel anything for any of it. He was a king, yet perpetually alone.
He was powerful, yet perpetually anxious. I mean, he had all this dark magic, he couldn't be hurt by a sword, but he spent every single second paranoid that someone, somewhere, was about to uncover his secret. And that's the ultimate irony, isn't it? He was deathless, yet never truly alive. In his frantic run from death, he completely lost what it meant to live. His whole eternal life was just empty. A cold echo with no joy, no love, nothing. Okay, so how do you take down a guy like this? This is where the hero comes in. The whole quest to find his weakness is what unravels the tyrant's secret. It shows us how the hero's journey reveals the fragility of evil. No matter how tough it looks on the outside, there's always a weak spot. And this leads to his inevitable downfall. You can't just run at him with a sword or an arrow. He's immune to that stuff. His one weakness is that soul vessel. The hero's job, usually some guy like Ivan Tsarevich, is to be smart, not just strong. They have to follow the clues, find that single, fragile secret, and get to the needle. Because the second that needle breaks, it's game over. All those centuries he stole come crashing down on him at once, and poof, he's dust. It really all comes down to this simple idea. No matter how securely evil hides its heart, it is ultimately fragile. I mean, Koschei went to unbelievable lengths to protect his soul, right? But at the end of the day, it was just a needle, something you could snap between your fingers.
So what's the big lesson here? It's that true strength lies not in resisting the natural order, but in accepting it. Koschei thought being strong meant cheating death, fighting against nature itself. But what this story really tells us is that real strength, it's the opposite. It's about accepting that life has an end and living the time you have with meaning and, humanity.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What is the greater tyrant, death or the fear of it? Koschei ran from one, only to become a lifelong prisoner of the other. When you really think about it, which one is actually worse?